This video has been prompted by 3 questions that keep coming up from our vegetarian subscribers. The first question they ask is, they want to balance the fat and the carbs in their diet by eating more avocados. However, they have real difficulty finding ripe avocados in their local supermarket. So they tend to buy them, they never ripen and end up throwing them away. The second question is they want to increase the potassium in their diet by juicing celery, but are worried about the high sodium content in celery. And the third question is about celery and nut butter. Is that okay to eat celery with nut butter on a keto diet? The first question is a very easy one to solve. If you place unripe avocados in a paper bag along with 1 or more ripened bananas, and then seal the top of the bag tightly, the avocados will ripen in a day or 2. And the reason's very simple, that the bananas release a lot of insulin, and that's triggering the ripening of mature fruits. So it's an amazingly easy solution to ripen your avocados. Now note that on a keto diet, you don't want to eat the bananas afterwards because of the sugar content, but it's a simple fix to the avocado problem. Sodium's a very important nutrient in our diet that has many beneficial uses for the body. It's been given its bad rap because it works in opposition or in balance with potassium, and most Western diets have too much sodium and contain too little potassium, and therefore that imbalance causes the sodium to retain water and hence the blood pressure problems. Now this is complicated still further because we evolved as a species on a diet that contained a lot of potassium. That's because potassium is found in fruits and vegetables, and sodium levels in the plant kingdom tend to be very low. Hence our bodies evolved to be very efficient at retaining sodium and not that efficient at storing potassium, because day in, day out, potassium was always coming into the diet. Therefore, it's very easy with Western diets to upset that ratio in favour of having too much sodium, and hence the bad rap that sodium gets for blood pressure. It's also important to note that apart from too much sodium raising blood pressure, too little potassium can raise blood pressure. So often when you increase potassium in the diet, that tends to bring down the blood pressure. Another problem is that the food industry tend to overdo the salt in many processed foods, and it's easy to ingest more than the recommended allowances. Now, again, recommended allowances can be a little confusing, so let's look at the World Health Organization's current RDAs for sodium. Effectively, they're saying that there's an upper limit of 15 mg per day, and that will vary depending on race, age, youth, sex. The body will vary in its need for sodium based on effectively who you are. So I'm going to give a link underneath for you to have a look at the RDAs coming from the World Health Organization currently, and also the RDAs on potassium. Now, potassium is currently around about 2,600 to 3,400 milligrams a day if you use the World Health Organization's links. Now let's express that potassium in terms of bananas. That's around 7 or more medium bananas a day. I'm not saying eat that amount because bananas aren't going to be that good on a keto diet, but I'm just trying to get you to get an idea of just how much potassium we need. Or you could express it in terms of avocados. You need around 5 decent sized avocados a day. Again, I'm not suggesting you eat that, but I'm saying that it gives you an idea of the volume of food you need to consume just to get anywhere near the potassium levels that you need. Now, with a keto diet referenced on this channel, you're going to be avoiding bananas and anything really sugary, but it's just to express this again in terms that you can understand. So a 200 gram avocado's got around about 974 milligrams of potassium in. Now, the fluid outside of the cells contains a high amount of sodium, whilst the fluid inside the cells contains a high amount of potassium. And there's an ion pump on the cell membrane which exchanges sodium for potassium, and that is what gives it its electrochemical gradient across the cell membrane. So it's a very good way for the cell to transmit electrical impulses, and therefore it's beneficial for muscle and nerve function. So put simply, when our electrolyte balance isn't correct, and that's because of the imbalance in the potassium and sodium in the diet, it's actually very easy to find the blood pressure problems, and also it's very easy to find that the muscles aren't contracting and relaxing the way they should do. And we want to be putting extra load on the muscles for them to increase in size and change our body mass away from the fat and towards lean muscle. So we can do that, we can assist that by understanding the sodium and potassium levels. So back to the question whether there's salt in celery. Yes, there is quite a high amount in percentage terms. Around about 23% of the celery juice would be sodium, but 77% is potassium. So in ratio terms, if we talk about the sodium potassium away from any other nutritional benefit of the celery juice, it still has a fair amount of sodium, but you can't answer that question simply by saying yes or no, you should take it, because it depends a lot on your blood pressure, it depends a lot on whether you're taking medication, it depends a lot on whether you're going to be increasing your potassium levels. When I did that, my own blood pressure came down significantly. Now, for my age, when I started on this form of eating, I actually was in very good shape blood pressure-wise, never needed to take blood pressure medication. But the moment I aimed to get my vegetable salad juicing to a level where I was having 3,000 milligrams of potassium a day, my blood pressure came down to what you can only really say is that of a younger man. I've got the blood pressure of someone in their teens, albeit I do quite a bit of cardio and do a fair bit of exercise to assist with that. But the most significant change came when I dropped the sodium that I was picking up in the food, and I increased the potassium by changing the diet. Now, the third question was one of, is it okay to eat celery and nut butter on a keto diet? Well, the answer is yes, absolutely. There's very, very low carbs in celery, and there's quite a high amount of fat in the nut butter. But you have to be careful with nut butter that you read the label, because what you really want is just nut butters made from the nuts themselves with no added oil, no added sugar, or no added salt. So check that, and also ideally you want a organic source. And I'm going to include some links below, the medical links that I'm relating to, so you can read the background on this yourself and have a look at the World Health Organization's current recommendations. So hopefully this has answered those three very common questions. And if you've learned something today, if you enjoyed this, please hit the red subscribe button and click the bell so that you get updates on a regular basis, because we're going to be releasing videos on a weekly basis and you'll automatically get that update. So thank you for visiting Optimum Health today. See you again on the next video.